Girl uncovers the dark past of her mother's new boyfriend. Ross embarks on an adventure trip with her mother, Alma, and her mother's boyfriend, Derek. Things take a dark turn when Alma dies, leaving Ross alone in the middle of the ocean with a stranger. Can Ross survive and find her way back home? Strap in, movie enthusiasts, it's recap time. Today, we will be diving into the story of a thriller action film, Dangerous Waters, from the year 2023. So, let's start. The story starts with Ross, injured, and sitting in a police office. The narrative then flashes back to a time when Alma returns home and starts cooking. Ross comes in, hugs her from behind, and wishes her a happy 40th birthday. Alma reveals that they are going on a trip. The next day, they get in the car to start their journey. Ross, not very enthusiastic about the trip, confesses her fear of water. Alma reassures her, saying she needs to be brave, and she will like Derek, her new boyfriend. At the port, Ross questions why Alma trusts Derek. Alma responds that Derek is not rich, but a gentleman, and that the trip will be an adventure. Ross and Alma gather their luggage from the car and meet Derek, who shows them the boat. As they set sail, Derek teaches Ross how to tie a knot. They celebrate Alma's birthday on board. Derek gives gifts to both Alma and Ross, a t-shirt for Alma, which she loves, and a marlin spike for Ross. Derek explains that the marlin spike can untie any knot, which could be handy in difficult situations. Ross, Alma, and Derek are outside on their boat, setting the sails to catch the wind. Alma starts recording a video of Ross and Derek on Ross's phone. Suddenly, Alma slips and falls into the ocean. Derek jumps in to save her. He instructs Ross to get the first aid kit from the starboard storage. While retrieving the kit, Ross discovers guns in the container. She grabs the kit and rushes back up. Derek manages to pull Alma back onto the boat. Alma, shaken but unharmed, tries to downplay the incident, saying the trip was supposed to be an adventure. They then notice a storm approaching and decide to head inside. Derek becomes anxious and starts preparing for the worst, mentioning a raft and 3 life vests on board. Unable to sleep that night, Ross tries to distract herself by watching TV. The next morning, she finds Alma sitting on the deck. Alma invites Ross to join her and asks if she's enjoying the trip. She tells Ross that the storm passed during the night, and she didn't wake her because she seemed to be asleep. Ross admits she didn't sleep and isn't enjoying the trip, but Alma encourages her to enjoy the fresh air. Alma then sighs, expressing that she is trying to give Ross a better life. Derek arrives. Ross asks Derek why he has guns. He explains that he used to be a cop and now works in security. Ross asks if it's an AR-15, then expresses interest in shooting it. Derek shows her how to handle and shoot the gun. Ross quickly learns, but when Alma expresses discomfort with Ross shooting, Ross puts the gun back after firing one more shot. Later, Derek and Alma dance together to a song and invite Ross to join them, but she chooses to go to bed instead. In the middle of the night, Ross wakes up to strange noises. She quietly observes as several men confront Derek, demanding to know where something is. They start beating Alma and Derek. Alma sees Ross and warns her to stay hidden. The men continue to beat Alma brutally. Terrified, Ross hides. The intruders eventually find what they were looking for, and then kill Alma and shoot Derek. They then set the boat on fire before leaving. Ross cries on her mother's death. Now she is left alone and terrified. She puts out the flames, but most of the boat is badly burned. She checks the radio, but it's destroyed. Ross then pulls up the boat's hook and discovers Derek tied underwater. She manages to pull him up and asks what to do next. Derek first suggests using the radio, but Ross tells him it's burnt. He then instructs her to get the sail, but she informs him that it's also destroyed. Ross asks Derek who the men were. Derek claims he doesn't know. He then tells her there's a spare sail under the floor, but she will have to climb to set it. Ross retrieves the sail and sets it up. Derek instructs her to get the first aid kit and clean his wound. She does as he says. Then he tells her to start the boat's motor. Ross, unsure how to do it, asks for guidance, but Derek faints before he can explain. While looking for help inside, Ross finds pictures of Derek with the men who attacked them. Panicked, she ties Derek to the boat. When she turns back, Derek is gone. Armed with a knife, she goes inside and finds Derek there. He tells her she doesn't know how to tie knots properly. Derek then shows her a map, pointing out that Bermuda is nearby and their best chance for escape. Ross asks why they can't just turn back, and Derek explains that the currents are against them, so they must follow the current's direction. They attempt to start the engine, but it burns out. The next morning, Derek makes breakfast for Ross. He notices her wearing Alma's locket and mentions that he gave it to her. Ross is surprised because Derek only started dating Alma a month ago, yet Alma had the locket for years. Derek reveals that he had liked Alma for years, but never had the opportunity to be with her. Ross asks Derek about his earlier claim of not knowing the men who attacked them. Derek describes them as monsters and insists she's better off not knowing about them. That night, Derek discovers they are headed in the wrong direction and becomes furious, shouting. In the morning, Derek decides to get into the raft. Ross wants to stay on the boat with her mother's body, but Derek insists she joins him since he needs her help, due to his injured arm. They board the raft together. Ross accidentally drops one of the oars into the ocean and jumps in to retrieve it, while Derek is asleep. Not knowing how to swim, she starts to drown. Derek wakes up and rescues her, bringing her to a nearby island. Ross and Derek begin searching for a way to survive. On the shore, they find their raft and take the food out of it. Derek says that they cannot get to the boat as it is getting dark. Derek starts a fire and asks Ross if she knows how to light one. She explains that spreading the sticks allows air to flow, helping the fire burn. Derek praises her quick learning ability, impressed by her shooting skills as well. He asks if she learned to shoot from her father, as he was a soldier. Ross tells Derek she never knew her father well, because he died when she was very young. He enlisted in the military to support her college dreams, but was killed in Iraq, leaving nothing to bring back. She also mentions she had shot a gun once before, when a co-worker took her out and taught her. Derek smiles, admitting he's a slow learner. He shares that he took his oath seriously when he became a cop and lived by it for 10 years. His wife, Annalisa, called him a loser and left him. After that, he started taking drugs for himself and got involved with bad people, eventually stealing a large sum from someone he refers to as the captain, who is extremely cruel. Ross asks who the captain is, and Derek describes him as a sexist who likes young girls. Ross says she would kill him, but Derek doubts her bravery, noting how scared she was during the attack on their boat. He then grabs a rope and ties Ross's hands, showing her how she should have tied him up. Derek reveals that he was annoyed when he learned she would be coming along with Alma, but doesn't mind now because he finds her attractive. He shows Ross an EPRB. Ross asks what it's for, and Derek explains that it sends an SOS signal to a satellite. She questions why he didn't use it on the boat, and Derek confesses he didn't want to be rescued because she would tell everything about him. He intends to kill her to keep his secrets. Ross manages to push Derek and runs into the trees as he tries to shoot her. The next morning, she attempts to reach the boat but is spotted by Derek. He shoots at her but falls from the hill he's standing on. As he lies injured, he reveals that he plans to trade her to the captain in exchange for his freedom. Ross tries the EPRB, but it doesn't work. Frustrated, she throws it away and returns to the boat. At night, the boat starts leaking, forcing Ross to jump back onto the raft. Desperate for help, she fires flares into the sky. Her raft is eventually found by the captain's ship. The crew brings her aboard and offers her food. Ross notices a girl on the ship, in very poor condition. She asks to use the shower. After cleaning up, she dresses and prepares herself. Ross approaches the captain and starts talking to him politely, asking questions about how the ship operates, including how the autopilot and steering work. She mentions that she got cut by coral and asks if it's dangerous. The captain tells her that as long as she cleans the wound and applies ointment, she'll be fine. When she asks if he has any ointment, he says yes and sends the other crew members out of the room, asking if she wants him to take care of her. She agrees. As the captain turns to get the ointment, Ross seizes the moment and attacks him from behind, killing him. However, a woman named Roberta, one of the captain's guards, sees Ross and alerts the other guards via radio. Ross quickly makes her way inside the ship. She heads to the room where she had seen the girl earlier and asks if she knows where any guns are. The girl tells Ross there are more weapons in the engine room. She also guides Ross to the engine room. Ross goes to the engine room, finds a gun, and starts taking out the captain's guards. She also suffocates Roberta. The girl warns that the captain will be furious, but Ross reveals that she has already killed him. Ross returns to the captain's room and finds Derek there. He tells her that he got the EPRB working and had made a deal with the captain, implying that Ross's escape plan is over. Ross calmly tells Derek that she has killed the captain. Furious, Derek pushes Ross down the stairs and grabs a gun. When he comes back, Ross is gone. Derek searches for her in the engine room. In a final confrontation, Ross uses a sharp metal hook to kill Derek. The other girls call out to Ross, showing her that they are near the shore. Upon reaching the city, Ross recounts the entire ordeal to the sheriff. He praises her bravery and tells her to go back home, assuring her that he has contacted the families of the other girls. Ross admits she has no home to return to. The sheriff reassures her, saying she doesn't need to worry about that and that she has a future ahead of her. Ross smiles, and the story ends. I hope you liked the story recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching and see you next time.